Welcome back, everyone. Today, we're exposing 7 US cities where the American dream is collapsing in 2025. Forget the travel vlogs. This is about survival, not sightseeing. These are places where economic hardship and rising crime have turned daily life into a struggle. We'll break down the real stories, the hard facts, and why life is becoming nearly impossible for so many. This isn't about blame, it's about understanding what's happening in our own backyard. Stick around because the last city is one most people have forgotten, and its collapse is happening in silence. If you're new here, hit subscribe for more eye-opening content. Let's dive in. First up, San Francisco, a city once defined by tech innovation, now overwhelmed by crisis. Once hailed as the crown jewel of the West Coast, its shimmering skyline now hides a much darker reality. The homelessness here is staggering. Entire tent cities line the streets, stretching for blocks and blocks right next to billion-dollar tech headquarters, where some of the world's wealthiest companies operate just steps away from people struggling to survive. The cost of living is out of control, with prices soaring higher every year. Average rent for a one-bedroom is sky-high, forcing out teachers, nurses, and firefighters. Small businesses are closing at an alarming rate, and the city's vibrant culture is fading, replaced by empty storefronts and despair. Once bustling neighborhoods now feel hollow, their energy drained away. The gap between the ultra-rich and the poor is wider than ever, with luxury condos towering over streets filled with hardship. Public safety is a major concern, as residents and officials struggle to keep neighborhoods secure. Open-air drug use and brazen thefts are now common, making many neighborhoods feel unsafe. Crime rates have risen, and fear is part of daily life. Residents worry about break-ins and violence, taking extra precautions just to feel safe in their own homes. And families are forced to make impossible choices just to get by, deciding between rent, food, and basic necessities. Billions have been spent to fix these issues with endless debates and promises from city leaders. But on the ground, things only seem to get worse. Streets are dirtier, parks are neglected, and frustration grows. The city's soul is being sold to the highest bidder, leaving everyone else behind. Gentrification pushes out longtime residents, erasing the city's unique character. San Francisco is a warning. Even the wealthiest cities can collapse from within, their foundations crumbling beneath the surface. Tourists see the Golden Gate Bridge, the postcard-perfect views, and the city's famous landmarks. But locals see a city in crisis. The government seems powerless, unable to turn the tide, and the future looks bleak, with more people losing hope every day. San Francisco's story is a harsh reality check for the rest of the country, a glimpse into what can happen when inequality and neglect go unchecked. It's a place where survival, not success, is the new normal. The American dream here, it's on life support, barely hanging on. This is what happens when a city loses its balance, when progress leaves too many behind. And it could happen anywhere. No city is immune. Next, Detroit, a city that once powered America, its factories roaring with life and innovation, where the hum of assembly lines was the heartbeat of a nation on the rise. Today, those same streets are haunted by the echoes of that prosperity, now overshadowed by decline and uncertainty. Once celebrated as the Motor City, Detroit's economic collapse left entire neighborhoods deserted, their silence a stark contrast to the city's former bustle. Tens of thousands of vacant homes and buildings now stand as haunting reminders of lost prosperity, their empty shells telling stories of families and dreams long gone. These empty spaces have become magnets for crime, making daily life not just challenging, but dangerous for the resilient residents who remain. The city's efforts to demolish blighted properties are ongoing, but they can't keep up with the overwhelming scale of decay and neglect. Economic opportunities are scarce and poverty rates remain among the highest in the nation, leaving many families struggling to get by. Public services are stretched thin, crumbling roads, slow emergency response, and underfunded schools struggle to provide even basic resources for students. For many kids, hope for a better future is slipping away, replaced by uncertainty and frustration as opportunities fade. While downtown has seen some revitalization, with new businesses and development, most neighborhoods are left behind, their needs unmet. Detroit's collapse isn't just about abandoned buildings, it's about lost hope, broken promises, and opportunities that vanished almost overnight. The struggle here is daily, and for many the system feels broken, offering little support or relief. Detroit stands as a stark reminder of what happens when a city's foundation is ripped away, leaving only memories and ruins behind. The American dream? For many here, it's just a memory, a faded photograph of better days. Detroit's scars run deep, etched into every empty lot and crumbling building, and for now, true recovery remains a distant, uncertain dream. Baltimore, Maryland, a city with a rich history now defined by relentless violence and systemic failure. For many, daily life feels like living in a war zone. Baltimore's homicide rate is among the highest in the nation, and fear is a constant companion. Crime drives away businesses, lowers property values, and traps residents in dangerous neighborhoods. The root causes run deep decades of failed policies, segregation, and economic neglect. Infrastructure is crumbling. Potholes, water main breaks, and abandoned buildings are everywhere. The opioid epidemic has devastated communities, and access to healthcare is limited. Schools are underfunded, with some students forced to wear coats in class due to broken heating. The cycle of poverty, poor health, and violence is hard to break. Many feel abandoned by the systems meant to protect them. Hopelessness is widespread, and trust in leadership is low. Baltimore's story is about more than crime, it's about a broken social contract. For many, survival is the only goal. The city's collapse is a warning of what happens when systemic problems go unaddressed. Chicago, Illinois, a city of stunning contrasts. Downtown thrives, but the South and West Sides face daily survival against gun violence and poverty. Dozens are shot in a single weekend, and children grow up surrounded by trauma. Economic disparity fuels the violence. While downtown booms, neglected neighborhoods suffer from unemployment and lack of opportunity. Gangs fill the void, and public services are overwhelmed. Schools are underfunded, infrastructure is crumbling, and investment is lacking. Residents feel forgotten, fueling anger and distrust toward authorities. The city's leadership is criticized for favoring downtown while neglecting those most in need. Chicago isn't one story, it's a city divided by wealth and survival. The collapse here is social and moral, not just economic. Communities fight for survival just miles from prosperity. The American dream is alive for some, but a nightmare for others. Chicago's divide is a warning for cities everywhere. Los Angeles, the city of dreams, now a city of crisis. LA is the epicenter of America's homelessness, with over 75,000 people living on the streets. Encampments stretch from Skid Row to suburban sidewalks, creating public health emergencies. The root cause housing costs are out of reach for most, and even full-time workers can't afford rent. The middle class is vanishing, and the dream of homeownership is dead for many. People live in cars, RVs, or overcrowded apartments, one setback away from homelessness. Environmental issues add to the crisis. Endless traffic, drought, and wildfires threaten daily life. The city's size and sprawl make solutions difficult, and billions spent haven't solved the problem. Residents are frustrated, divided, and losing hope. Hollywood sells a fantasy, but most Angelenos face a daily struggle. LA is a cautionary tale of unsustainable growth and broken promises. The American dream here is an illusion for millions. Survival, not success, is the new reality. New Orleans, a city of music and culture, but also of constant risk and hardship. Vulnerable to hurricanes and flooding, the city lives with the threat of disaster every year. Infrastructure is failing, roads buckle, drainage systems collapse, and flooding is common even after a thunderstorm. Poverty is widespread, with many families stuck in low-wage tourism jobs and little chance for advancement. Economic disparity is stark, and the city often prioritizes tourists over residents. Basic services lag behind, and crime remains a serious problem. The police struggle with trust and resources, and violence destabilizes communities. Living in New Orleans means accepting risk and instability as part of daily life. The city's resilience is remarkable, but the burden is heavy. The collapse here is slow and waterlogged, a battle against nature and poverty. For many, the good times are long gone. New Orleans is a city of soul, but its people are being asked to endure too much. The American dream here is drowning. St. Louis, Missouri, the gateway to the West, now a city quietly hollowed out, a shadow of its former bustling self. Once home to over 850,000 people, the population has dropped below 300,000, a stark reminder of the city's fading glory. Decades of decline have left entire neighborhoods abandoned and crumbling, with little hope of revival in sight. The loss of residents has gutted the tax base, leading to failing services and further decay, creating a vicious cycle of neglect. North St. Louis is filled with vacant lots and empty buildings. Whole communities have disappeared, leaving behind echoes of the past. Crime is rampant, with one of the nation's highest murder rates concentrated in neglected areas, adding to the city's woes. The city is deeply segregated, with the Delmar Divide marking stark economic and racial lines, a visible scar on the city's landscape. Investment flows to the suburbs, leaving the urban core to rot, a tale of two cities within one. Revitalization efforts are piecemeal, ignoring the neighborhoods most in need, leaving many to fend for themselves. Residents struggle to find fresh food, safe streets, and quality education, basic needs that remain unmet. The sense of abandonment is palpable, a city left behind by the rest of America, a forgotten chapter in the nation's story. St. Louis's collapse is slow and grinding, a warning of what happens when inequality festers and hope fades. The American dream here is fading, replaced by daily struggle, a harsh reality for many. St. Louis is a gateway to nowhere for too many, a city once full of promise now lost in time. Its story is a cautionary tale for cities across the country, a reminder of what can happen when progress leaves some behind. The heartland is hollowing out, and few are paying attention, a silent crisis unfolding in the nation's core. 7 cities, 7 stories of collapse, but all share one thing: real people struggling to survive. These aren't just headlines, they're communities in crisis. Awareness is the first step to change. We made this video to shine a light, not to point fingers. Change starts with conversation and demanding more from our leaders and ourselves. Is your city facing similar issues? Share your story in the comments. If this opened your eyes, hit like, subscribe, and ring the bell for more. Thanks for watching.